All right, let's start by creating an app where we're gonna point our plugin to so that we can build and test with it. We're gonna set this up and go ahead and remove all the extra stuff that Bubble provides. Let's then create a plugin. So inside the plugin, we can then point the plugin to the app we just created so that we can start testing with it, right? I can go in here, refresh, go to the plugins, and I should see my plugin. That's not working. Let me just see. Maybe I have to create an element. I'll just create the element here. This is where we're going to build our plugin, but maybe that's what I need to do. Just go to the test app. Let's see. All right. So we got our plugin connected with our app. Now let's put this plugin on the page. So just go to our page, fix. Why does it give me a fixed layout in the beginning? Anyways, let's set this up here. All right, enough fiddling. Let me just add the plugin to the page, and now we should be able to see this running on our app. So, well, there's not going to be much to see here, but the most important thing is that we're going to have to open the browser console so that we can, log stuff to it, and we can get feedback whenever we're building the app. Let's make our plugin do something, right? So for that, we need to go down here. We have these two functions we're going to be exploiting, the initialize and the update. And you can see, you can just drop down the documentation, see a couple of things. So let's just do something here. So I'll add a comment. So create a div. All right, the first thing we're going to do is create a random ID. We're going to use it like a unique identifier for this plugin. This will give us the ability to target our plugin or anything inside of it from the Bubble app and from other plugins and so on. Take this random ID we just created and log it out to the console so that we can see it on the app. All right, if we now go back to the app and refresh the page, we should see in our console log the random ID we just created. All right, so now we know our plugin and our app is communicating. For us to put the Tiptap editor on the page, we're going to need a div, an HTML element that we can tell Tiptap to use as its host. Right, so here what we're going to do is use some of the browser APIs, create a new element. All right, let's take that random ID and actually add that to the div. Let me just copy this over, actually switch those over for the editor, rename so that we see editor div and we know what we're talking about. All right, we see the editor there, but it's not on the page, right? You don't see, like, if we search for it here in the elements, we won't see it. So we're going to need to go back to it. Yeah, so like the instance gives on the canvas, there is a, this is kind of the element. Your plugin is in there. So we're going to just append that thing with the div we just created to that, right? So all we need to do is this. Append child is a function, so you just pass the parameter. The parameter in this case is the div we just created, and we should be able to see that. So now you can see on the top left there, it's showing that the element is now added to the page, and if we inspect it, we should be able to find it in the DOM. Meaning, okay, we got an element here. Just to prove that point, let's just add some more stuff to it so that we can actually see it. All right, let's grab the editor div, Paste it in here, add the ID, and we just say, look, make this the ID we just created, right? So we just use the same object there. And now if we refresh it, we should see on the console log our ID, and now we our div with the ID in it. And kind of just because we're going to prefix this with some text, just to make sure that this ID always starts with a text. I've had some bad luck where sometimes the random ID will be generated with a character that is not allowed as the first character in an ID, and then yeah. So I just put Tiptap this way, kind of have a namespace for this for our plugin. Okay, I'm gonna add some more stuff to this div. Let's add some style to it. And just by the way, here I'm using a backtick so that you can just type in text inside of it. So we're gonna add into this style some text, so display flex, and we're gonna make it grow. And we should be able to see something different on the app. You can see that it's longer now. It says 400 times 0, so it's still quite small. So let's make that big and give it a background color so they actually see something. So let's set it to a min height, well, just a height to something, and put a background color to something we can really see. Look at that, we got a red rectangle. Okay, we can get rid of this, we don't need that anymore. Now what we need to do is to read some documentation. Let's go to Tiptap, docs, the getting started guide, you have the vanilla JavaScript guide. We're gonna need this later on, but first, why can we not use just the vanilla JavaScript? Because one of the things that we're going to need to do is install dependencies, and in Bubble plugins, we can't really install any dependencies like this. So we need to actually pull it from the internet. That's where the CDN comes from. And we can just take this stuff right here, and exactly the address and everything, and we're going to put that into our header of our plugin. So let me copy that over. And here in the header. I'll just close that tag. Well, now it's loaded, but the plugin still can't see it. So we need to put it somewhere. We need to put it into the window. So this is kind of the top level browser document. And then underneath, inside of the plugin, we'll be able to pull those libraries. Right, so that's why I'm adding here the window.tiptap editor. Now we're going to load those libraries. So essentially what it is we're going to create a variable and pull that from the window. Okay. Just to make sure that we get it right, let's log this out and see if the libraries are loaded. And we have an error. Let's see what this says. Unexpected token. What could this be? Well, One thing to learn here is that you're going to be generating a lot of bugs if you're like me. And a lot of them are typos or missed stuff. And I think here I just solved my problem by putting a little semicolon. We got the libraries loaded, so let's create the editor. Let's just continue copying the example here. And we can start adjusting this to our environment. So we're going to pass the div we just created, which is on instance.data.editor div. Why stop now? Why don't we log this out to the console so we can see it? And there is a bug. Let me just see. Typos. So put that in there, and now, well, we can see the editor, we can see hello world, we can start typing, but it has some problems. It's a bit of a weird problem because it only happens when you hit enter at the end of the text, and then you can see the output there. So something about cannot convert versions of Prose Mirror model, right? So loaded. So this tells me it's a network tab, and if you can, look for that keyword there, Prose Mirror dash model, you can see that two versions are loaded. One is 1.19, the other one is 1.20, and this is causing some conflict, right? And this is one of the issues with going this route here, using ESM. So we're going to have to find an alternative to this. All right, so we're directly into hard mode, because what we're going to have to do here is actually do some proper development. So you're going to have installed NPM, so Node Package Manager, and a code editor of some sort, right? And here, what I'm doing is, just created a folder. I'm going to open a terminal here, and then, touch. So on the Mac, that's how you create a file. And I'm going to create the index file. And then we're going to open this up in the code editor. First thing we need to do is to do npm init. So this is going to kick off and kind of set up the whole npm on our folder. And then we need to install some libraries, right? So let's go back to the documentation. And instead of using the CDN, we just go to the vanilla JavaScript one. Yeah, this one. And we just install all of these libraries here. So just go back there, drop that in there. It's going to download all of that stuff and set up our package.json file. Now we need to import those libraries in our JavaScript file. So first the editor. And you know what, I might as well just copy paste all of this because that's exactly what we need, right? Let's replace all of this, right? And again, the same thing, we need to put this into the window object so that the bubble plugin can pick it up. So let's do that. All right, but Bubble cannot use any of this stuff here. So we need to package this and give it to Bubble in a way that it understands, right? So to do that, I'm going to add in here a script. So this is in the package.json model. And this is just kind of a shortcut that we can run and rerun very easily to be able to do this, to package all of this. And all it does is this. So it does esbuild, so it's a command. It takes the index.js file, it bundles it, it minifies it, and then it puts it out on this.js file, right? So if I go in and run it now, and I think it's a typo. Okay. Right. So if I run it now, you see that a file is just created there. And you can see this is a minified file. It's hard to read, but that's the point of it. It's compressed, is ready to go. Let's add this to the Bubble plugin. First, we need to remove all of this here from the header. We can remove this from here too. And then we're gonna, we already have this thing set up, so we just need to upload the file. So in there, we go to shared. We go here to shared resources, this.js, upload the file we just created. Right, actually save the asset. Then we get this link here, and we're gonna add a script tag to the top of the document, and the source is gonna be that to the link we just got. All right, let's go refresh the screen here. Let's see if it works. We see the editor. Does the error reproduce itself? No, we can actually hit enter. Perfect. All right, so there you have it. We have a working plugin. It's rough, but it's the seed of something better for later on. What did we do? We created the test app. We created the plugin. We connected the two together. We loaded some external libraries, even though we tried the CDN route. That didn't work. We made some typos. We checked the browser, dev console, and all these things. We checked some documentation. So there is a lot in here. I'm not covering any of the theory, but I hope this at least gives us the basis for us to build the next lessons on. Thanks.